This is not a shelf-stable product, okay? I'm Jane, and this is Fincarte. Thank you for watching. This week on the Finca, I broke my toe. Yeah, the bruised one. It doesn't look much. Sun-dried tomatoes. Literally dried by the sun. And this is how you do it. I've washed the tomatoes, dry them. These are plum tomatoes, although to be honest, that one didn't look like a plum tomato. Only choose the best tomatoes. That one's a bit soft, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm using baking trays, but actually mesh of some kind would be better to allow free flow of air. But what I've actually found is the baking tray gets very hot and it does speed up the rate of drying quite a bit. They're going to take about a week, and that's in full sun all day. I bring them in overnight because it isn't safe here. There are a lot of moths that like to lay their eggs in fruit. That's it. That's how you make sun-dried tomatoes. What you do next with your sun-dried tomato depends on what product you want. I like mine in oil. You could take this very leathery, dry piece of tomato and just put it in oil. That is one way of doing it. It's not my way. The way that I am going to show you next does cut down the shelf life of your product. This isn't a storable product once you follow the rest of my recipe. A lot of people misunderstand that. They think because it's in oil, it's okay and they can stick it in their cupboard and keep it there for a year. You can't do that. This is not a shelf-stable product, okay? Every time I tell people that this is the way that I do my sun-dried tomatoes, they go, oh, but you can keep that in the cupboard for a year or more and it'll be fine. No, no, not the way I do it, you can't. If I want to keep these for a year or more, this is the way I do it. Dried, in the cupboard, or in the freezer even. The reason for that, that's another one. Everyone goes, what would you put them in the freezer for? The reason for that is sometimes I'm not entirely sure they're properly dried. To over dry them, for me, spoils the product. So if I'm a bit iffy about how well dried they are, I will vacuum pack these in bags and stick them in the freezer. These are fine. These have been in my cupboard for more than a year. What I'm about to do next is a whole different story. lot of people don't do this bit, the boiling in water for 5 minutes, water and vinegar. I mean, if you are drying out in the sun, it's different if you've got a dehydrator. You never know if a fly came and pooed on your tomatoes. And since they taste better, I'm all for doing this. Okay, this is now boiling, and I'm going to put the tomatoes in. 5 minutes, that's all. Now I'm going to pat them dry. I'm going to leave those to air dry for a couple of hours. Okay, my sun-dried tomatoes have been dried off, and now I'm going to put them in a jar. I have a sterilized jar and a lid. Now, in the past, I've usually layered the tomatoes with fresh garlic and some dried herbs, and then filled up with olive oil. However, garlic in olive oil carries a botulism risk. I've been doing this for years. I have been flavouring olive oil with garlic and herbs literally for 20 years, and keeping it a very long time and using it, and I've not had any trouble. Now that I know, I can't help but think the risk must be very small, but now that I know, I can't put it in. I just can't do it because it will spoil my enjoyment of the tomatoes. So in this one, I think I'm going to go and get some basil from the garden. It's not going to be dry, but the basil will stay under the olive oil, and these I am only keeping, well, they'll be eaten very, very quick. I'm just making sure all the air bubbles are out, or as much as possible. That's going into the cupboard for about a week, and then I'll transfer it to the fridge. Only because it's far too hot in my house for this to stay stable very long. Plus, it's got fresh basil in it, so it's not going to last. But you have to leave it for about a week before you eat them. Yeah, 2 weeks and this will be gone.